Hello everyone and welcome back to Bitwig Studio and Music Production. This is lesson 3.41, and in this lesson we're going to take a look at the frequency shifter device inside of Bitwig Studio. Now, it's a little bit different than a traditional pitch shifter in that we don't actually have those controls or visual feedback as to what constitutes semitones or full tones. Instead, we're going to be working with percentages. So for your traditional pitch shifting moves, you're probably going to want to work with the tools that we've already taken a look at inside of Bitwig. So if we were to go in and look at our chord device here, we could select pitch, and then right here we have semitones. So that's not what this device is necessarily going to do for us. As you can see here, we have a range that we can select, and then we have a degree by which we can shift, and that's in percentages, as is this left-right split that we'll talk about in just a second. We also have our mix knob. So this one's pretty straightforward. It's really just up to you on how you want to experiment with this. Again, automation would be a great friend of yours when working with the frequency shifter, and I'll also show you one usage for this that's maybe a little bit more untraditional or non-traditional. So let's play our sine tone here. We have this on right now because our range is set to basically 0. Even if I pull this mix way up and try to shift the frequency, we're not really going to be able to hear it because the range is so low. If I bump this range up just a little bit, like let's say 1 hertz, if I shift this, we might be able to hear it, but still it might be kind of tricky. You can see it moving ever so slightly, right? So I'm going to need to bump this up more. And now as I pull this down, we can watch and see. And then I could also pull it up as well. Okay, so you can make the range quite large if you want. And so we could actually do like a sweep of the frequency spectrum. We can review our equal loudness curve. We need more range. Wow, that's piercing. Okay, so that's pretty much how the frequency shifter is working. We also have this left-right split knob. And you can hear, based on the settings we have, we're getting some serious beating to occur. Same thing on the right. So that's a really cool knob to mess around with. Just play with that one, see what you can come up with. Sometimes you'll get those really cool beating and phasing effects. And then we also have the mix knob, so we could mix in some of our original signal with the signal that's being frequency shifted, which is pretty cool. So we have a whole new sound, so we could kind of harmonize this if we wanted to. Or we could try to just get it to sound wider. Right, we're getting that beating effect to occur because our pitches are so close. Until eventually we start to see and hear 2 different pitches, 2 different frequencies. So very cool, very simple effect. I'm just going to show you one possible use for this that could be kind of cool. I'm going to use this as like a detuner, which is something that you could do. So for example, if we're playing back our chord, I could use an FX layer, and again, we're kind of jumping ahead of ourselves. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create 3 different layers. I'll create one with just a tool device that's going to be my dry layer. Then I'm going to create 2 new layers, both with a frequency shifter on them. And remember, this is basically just creating 3 versions of this, and we're processing it parallelly. So I'm going to pull one all the way to the left side, the other one to the right side. I'm going to put the range down quite low. Put both of these up to 100%. And now what I could do is just subtly detune these. There we go. Now you can hear that effect. Let's turn this off to really get a hear for it. Very, very cool. Or we could actually push these out a little bit farther if we wanted to, and this will sometimes give us very pleasing results as well. We can find a sweet spot. So in this case, we started with this, and we ended with this. Lots of movement. Lots of width there, and we still have our original playing through at the top. So just a couple of ideas for how you could use the frequency shifter. Of course, you could mess around with this on absolutely everything. There are no rules to the frequency shifter. Just see what you can come up with. And that dry wet knob, again, is really a cool feature to something like a frequency shifter. All right, thank you so much for tuning into this video, and you'll hear from me again in the next lesson. Take care.